In this video, we're going to cover Sapphire Capture Software. Just simply click on the icon and the software will open. The first video of the series, what we're going to do is actually fluorescence imaging. So select fluorescence and the screen will open up. Over here, we do have our protocols. So there are standard protocols that are already preset for you. One is a 4-channel Western, which will actually take and utilize all 4 lasers that are on board. For this particular model, we do have a 784 laser, a 658, a 520, and a 488 laser. Also for presets, we do have the near IR, which would be your 800 and your 700 channels, respectively. We do have the visible fluorescence, which is your size 3, 2, and 5 dyes. We also have the ability to create a new method. So by clicking on a new method, we'll actually end up with just a single laser selected. So if you need to, we can actually take and change whatever dye we need. So if you need rhodamine, we can actually take and select the rhodamine. Then if we need to, we can add another dye. Let's see if we're going to say Sci-5 plus the rhodamine, select it, and then we're going to select a color, which is going to be red. Now, if we want to, and we want to save this as a particular protocol for the future, then we can actually come back here and say save protocol, and then we can give it a name. We'll call it test 1. We'll click OK. Now, in the protocol pop downs, we do have test 1. Okay. So moving on, we do have the pixel sizes here. So the pixel size is actually going to determine what your resolution is. So on here, we can actually go from 10, 20, 50, 100, 150, 200, 500, and 1,000 micron pixel size. What I'm going to suggest for your gels and Western blots would be to be from 100 to 200 micron in size. That'll give you a very, very nice resolution. And be publication quality. If you are doing tissue and smaller structures, then I would suggest from going from 50 to 10, depending upon the size of your structure. Now, as you change the pixel size, right now we're at 100 microns. As you can see down here on the bottom, it says scanner time is actually 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, if we go down to 20 microns, it's going to be 41 minutes and 15 seconds. So as you change the size of your microns, or you change your resolution, increase your resolution, that's going to increase your time. Scan speed, actually what scan speed does is it actually changes the dwell time. So with scan speed, we can actually take and slow down the speed at which we're scanning, so that without changing our pixel size or our resolution. This is very handy if we're going to need to do some special applications, but slowing down the scan head or the scanning speed does not increase your sensitivity. It only aids in your resolution. So 95% of everything you're going to be doing will be scan speed set at the highest. Now we actually do come to our sample type, and our sample type is actually going to take and dictate where our laser is going to focus. In the Sapphire, it has the very unique ability to be able to change its laser focus point. So for membranes, it's going to be at 0, which is going to be right at the platen, which is nice and flat. All right, from the top down, gel, we actually have it set at 0.5 millimeters up from the platen. The reason being is the majority of the acrylamide gels are 1 millimeter thick. So what we want to do is actually to scan right in the center of the acrylamide gels. If you have a 1.5, then what we'll do is we have to change it to custom, and I'll show you that here in a second. Next that we have preset is plate, and then the plate is +3. Measurements we're taking on most 96 well plates and other plates are commercially available, and +3 seems to be right at the bottom of the wells. As I said before, membrane is 0. Slide, the majority of the microscope slides are actually 2 millimeters thick, so we actually want to go 1 millimeter right above it. Okay. Then on custom, we just click on custom, and then here we can actually take and put in anything that we're looking for. So if we want to, we can actually say, like I said before, if you have an acrylamide gel that is 1.5 thick, we can actually take and make it 0.75, hit enter, and then it'll move it right to 0.75. Okay. If you need to be able to go ahead and save these particular custom heights, you can go back over here to setting. And then in settings, what we can do is say add. We could actually come here and say gel 1.5, and then the focus point we want on this one is going to be 0.75. Click on apply, just did, and then the new type and focus position has been added. We click OK, come back over here and go to the custom, and there's your 1.5 gel right there for you. Okay, so moving on, when we come down here, these are actually the laser and filter sets that we're going to be using based upon which dye we've selected. Okay, so if you say you selected the 550 dye, then it'll actually change it to the 520 laser with the 565 bandpass 24 filter set. So we are today going to be scanning a Western blot, and the Western blot we're going to be scanning is actually going to be a 3-color. So it's going to have the near IRs, which would be the 800 and the 700 channel, along with we're going to be using the blue channel, which was actually on this particular one, it's Azure Spectra 490. Intensity, we're going to set at 3. Color, we're going to take and select blue. To add a scan, all we need to do is click on Add Scan. If you want to remove a scan, you click and remove it. But I'm going to go ahead and add it back. Click. So Spectra 490, intensity 3, color is going to be blue. Okay, so now we have our scan set the way we like it. Down here on the bottom, this is sequential scanning. So with the Sapphire, when we do our scanning, all of our scanning done simultaneously, which means we're going to fire all of our lasers at the same time. So it will take you the same amount of time to scan with one laser as it does with all 4 lasers. That being said, if you're not really sure on what you do have on your blot or your slide or your gel, or which laser will work the best for any given floor that you do have or stain, my suggestion is always to go ahead and scan all 4 at the same time. What we do have is the ability for you to be able to scan sequential scanning. Sequential scanning will actually take, then when you turn it on, you click it on, see it actually tells you right here exactly what it's going to do. It will scan each and every one of the channels separately, showing an individual grayscale, and then at the end it will actually take and create an overlay for you. Okay, turn that off. Now what we can do down here is actually take and give an image name right here. So I'm just going to call this blot 1. Next down here is saving location. So we can actually take and tell it where we want to save. We can come over here to browse and then select where we want to save it. You can go, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the desktop. You can network the software. So down here is notes. And on the notes down here, we can actually, these are actually the notes. So we can actually say 3 channel lot. And if there's anything else in particular you'd like to say about it, then what it'll actually do is these notes will actually go along with the image and the metadata. Down here on the bottom, it's going to tell you what the file size is going to be. So your total file size on this for all 3 of the channels is going to be 1.43 megabytes. We have the autosave turned on, so which means as soon as the scanning is finished, it's actually going to take and save this to the desktop for us. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually take and select the area of interest. I do know my Western blot is actually going to be somewhere over here between F7, somewhere around there. I'm going to change my pixel size to 100 microns. I'm going to leave it fastest, and also on membrane, because I'm going to be doing a Western blot. Next, I'm going to go ahead and click on pre-scan. Well, the pre-scan is going to do is it's going to scan the area that we have selected at 1,000 microns. It's going to be a very fast scan. The idea of the scan is just to be able to find out exactly where we are scanning and where our target is. And we've begun to scan. As you can see down here, we're looking at about 19 seconds are left. And over here, we can actually take and see that our image is actually coming up. Okay, now that our pre-scan is finished, we can actually take and zoom into this area. There's a couple ways that we can zoom in. We can either come down here and grab the slider and zoom in. And then we need to take and adjust so we can see our image. Or if we wish, we can actually take and put our cursor on the top. And then by using the mouse, we can either scroll in or scroll out to zoom in or zoom out on the image. Now that we have our pre-scan, let's go ahead and crop this in a little bit more so we don't take as much space and time. So when we go ahead and do that, I usually leave a little bit on the outer edge of my Western blot so people can see that it is a Western blot. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, I have my area selected. I have my pixel size, scan speed, all my parameters are set. Then what I'm going to do after my pre-scan is I'm going to move right to here to the right and click on Smart Scan. Now, when I click on Smart Scan, what this is going to do is we're going to actually have 3 separate scans. The first scan is going to be done at intensity level 5. The intensity levels on here are actually the gamma or the adjustment up and down of the lasers and the detectors themselves. Okay, so the best way to think about it is like the amplifier on your stereo. If your signal coming in is too strong, we're going to turn the intensity down. Or if the signal is too weak, we're going to turn the volume or the intensity up. It's going to be doing the same thing. Now, here at intensity level 5, we will see that this pink area and everything else right here, that is saturation. So it means that the signal is way too strong. So now if you would notice that the numbers before, our intensity levels were 3, 3, and 3. Now our intensity levels are changed to 2, 2, and 5, and we're making our second scan. While this is scanning, I also would like to cover contrast settings down here on the bottom. So when I open up the contrast settings window, we actually do see we have all 3 channels across the top. We have our black contrast, our white, and our gamma. Our white is actually going to be our brightness or intensity. So you can actually see by moving this to the left, our image becomes brighter. If we move it to the right, it becomes less intense. The white is actually the number of grayscales that we are capturing. This is a 16-bit image, so we are going to capture 65,535 grayscales in each individual pixel. Right. Now that it's done its second scan, here is going to do its final scan at 100 microns. We can see the intensity level now for the 800 channel is 2. The intensity level for the 700 channel is 1. The intensity level for the 490 channel is 5. Looking down here, you can actually see where the scan is actually progressing. Now, we can also, while the image is being captured, we can actually take and look at specific channels by turning on and off other channels. So just by left clicking over the top of them, we can actually take and turn off a channel or turn on a channel. Okay. While this is scanning, I usually like to move this over to the side. We can actually take and scroll in to see more detail. Scroll a little bit more. There we go. Now, so if we wish, we can actually take and turn off the red channel and the blue channel and just focus on the green channel, which is your 800 channel. By moving the slider to the left, you will see the bands become more intense. Okay. The gamma down here is actually your background. So you can actually lighten it, or you can darken it. Okay. And then we can take and add back. Now, when we change the sliders here in the preview, when the image is being captured, it is a global change, so it's going to change all 3 channels equally. When we are finished and we're able to go to the gallery, which is over here on the left-hand side, we'll be able to change each and every one of the images separately. And I will go through that also. So we have 1 minute and 7 seconds left in our scan as it's progressing. Okay, now that our scan is finished, you can see we automatically open up in the gallery. And we have saved it as blot number 1. The first thing that we're actually going to do, since we actually did scan this along the x-axis, is to be able to rotate it. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to do a rotation all the way around. There we go. Now that I have my Western blot in the proper orientation. So as you can see, now the next thing we're actually going to do is take and look at individual channels. So if we click on the red channel, this is our red channel. We can click on auto, which the software will actually take and do an adjustment for you. Or if you wish, you can make the adjustment yourself. So I grab my gamma, and I'm going to darken up the background a little bit, or you can lighten up the background. It depends what you want. To put it back, you can actually just click on auto again, and we'll go back to where it was. If you wish, we can actually take an invert, so we can make the positive and the negative on the images. This is rather handy if you want to see some of the lighter bands. All right, so now that we have our red adjusted the way we like it, we can next move to our green. So click green on auto, and sense what intense. And we can actually take and invert it and see the black on the green background. And if we wish, what we can do is change the gamma a little bit. And let's darken it up. There we go. And now the blue channel, or the 480 channel, is a very light channel. what we actually can do is actually take and click on auto and click on the invert. Okay. Now what I can do is actually take and grab the white and slide it a little bit more to make this a little bit more intense, just like so. And I can darken up the background, and then I build my overlay. There we go. So anytime we do any type of adjustment to any of our contrasting, it does not change the data. The data is exactly the same because that's the way that the image was captured. Now, this really looks nice, and it's an overlay, and it's in multicolor. But what we can do to be able to see more detail, and also for our analysis, we can come back up here and create single channels. So when we click on create single channels, what this will do is actually take and break them from the multiplex into the single channels. So this is, which would be your 488. So now if I wish, I can actually take and say invert. I can click the invert on that, click on auto, and I have my bands there. Here's my 800 channel. I can invert it also. I wish I can actually take and adjust it. And then here is my 700 channel. All right. To save all these images that we do have here, we can go here to File, directly click on Save All, and then we save all. It's going to ask us where we want to save it and what type of format do we want to save it at, and then I click on Save All. Now I have all of my images saved. Thank you very much for your time.